It's interesting. I think the word collaboration, that you and I think of that very differently. I think that's bringing a group of leaders within the organization, whether it's departmental or those that are in that function of the office,
right,
to the table to discuss different ideas. But there ultimately has to be one decision maker, right?
Okay.
Whereas I believe that certain generation believe that that's, well, don't I have a vote in that? And,
got it.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's still okay for us to lead because if we're all, you know, Rourke Denver, who's been on our stage several times, has talked about that. And being a Navy SEAL is they couldn't say, all right, everybody, let's vote.
Yeah.
Right? They had moments of discerning and of assessing the risk and then making the decision.
I'm Kristin Andree, founder and chief strategist of Andree Consulting Group. I founded my company almost 10 years ago because I love helping people not only succeed, but thrive in their careers and their lives. So many times I meet amazing people who have so much more potential than what they're utilizing. As I engage with them, there seems to be a common theme: the limits they place on themselves. Throughout this podcast series, we're going to visit some incredible people who have created more intentional lives for themselves, those who've had that no limits moment where they chose to grow and they put things in motion to help them do so. We'll focus on how you can break through limits, we'll equip you with strategies to help you lead a more intentional life, and we'll have a lot of fun along the way. So let's dive in. Hi, everyone, and welcome to No Limits with Kristin Andree. We are here today with Angela Raub, who is the CEO of Leadercast. And Leadercast is the world's largest one-day leadership event.
Yes, it is.
18 years.
18 years
Got
strong.
It. Very nice. So I had the chance to go to Leadercast and then Leadercast Women last year.
Yes.
You guys get some phenomenal speakers.
Thank you so much.
Like really good speakers.
We look at the people who have walked across our stage over the last 18 years, and it's incredible. Malala, Nelson Mandela. I mean, it's like if you think about all the people who have been there, it's pretty crazy. And so through our founder, John Maxwell, we just have this amazing platform. And so we try to make sure that we have diversification on that stage.
Yeah. And this year, it's coming up soon.
Yes, it is. It is.
So tell us the date, where it is, and then for people that are not local to the Atlanta area, they can still check it out too.
They can. And so here is all the details for this amazing event. Again, the world's largest one-day leadership event. We are in crunch time and we're super excited for this year. It is on Friday, May 10th.
Yep.
And for those that would like to view live in the metro Atlanta area, although we have people travel from around the world. Last year I met a gentleman from Sydney, Australia who flew in for the day.
Oh, cool.
And so that will start the live broadcast at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And so because we're simulcasting out to over 500 host sites around the country and some in the world, some will be rebroadcast as well.
Very cool.
So we'll have over 100,000 people the day of the event that are participating in that event.
It's fun. I'm going. Obviously, got it on my calendar. Had it on. I think I've had it on since y'all announced the date last year. But it's a cool event, so I'm super excited. I mean, there are a couple. I mean, you've got some wow speakers this year.
We do, and we have Gayle King. Of course, we have Andy Stanley, who so many people always come to our event around the world.
He usually kicks it off. Will he kick it off again this year?
I guess we can say it. Yes, because people would be disappointed, and we really, for those that aren't familiar with Andy Stanley, I recommend you go out. He has podcasts as well.
Yep.
But he does a perfect job of setting the stage literally for our theme, which this year is leading healthy teams, which is so important. Yeah. And then he will open it up from there. So we have Juliet Funk. We also have Craig Springer. We have Marcus Samuelson. Trip Crosby is still our
your
host.
MC. He is a hoot.
He is very funny.
He really is.
And what's going to be really interesting is Tripp just turned 40. And so he took a month sabbatical.
He's a youngster.
He's a youngster, but he took a month sabbatical to really recenter. So I'm super excited to see him talk about that journey and the healthy team. I think he was inspired to be a healthy leader for his family.
Very nice.
And so we're going to get somebody that's been fresh on that sabbatical that hits our stage.
Okay.
It's pretty exciting.
I like it. So you have Pat Lencioni.
Pat Lencioni. Oh my gosh. And so, yes, we have a lot of people who are coming in.
Okay.
We also this year have, we've engaged with Harrison Assessment, and we have an assessment that parlays nicely into the event called Leading Healthy Teams. So it's determining how you are as an individual and how you are ready to lead. And as you know, at Leadercast, Kristin, we don't look at it as a leader that you have to have a C before your title.
Right.
Everyone is a leader, and it's about the core values that you adhere to. And so that's what we're really excited about for this.
I think I like the incorporation of the Harrison. So when I was still in corporate in finance, we used the Harrison assessment with any new people we brought on board. It's fantastic. I mean, it gives you a lot of insight to the person, how they like to be worked with, coached and developed, and how they interact with others, which I think is important when you're talking about teams.
Absolutely. And the paradox of our core competencies, right, our hard wiring. And so for me, being a very loyal person, and there are great things that come with that, but then there can be situations where I start making poor decisions out of that loyalty.
Okay.
And that's what I really love, what you can glean from the Harrison, because I think people that are assessment junkies like myself, also being competitive, but also how can I improve personally and professionally, that it's a great way to look at what you deem a strength, because I think that can be the fatal flaw for a lot of people, a lot of leaders as well.
Right. You know, I'm a assessment junkie too. So I think I've taken them all. I love them, always glean something from, but I do gravitate towards the ones that focus on strengths.
Yes.
And just really developing that and working in the areas you're good at, which is cool. So, all right. So with your work with Leadercast and with what you guys are doing, I mean, what's been fun for you? Because I know you were here last year, which we're going to talk about, but what's been fun for you in this role and really taking the company forward?
It's a lot of fun, but to be completely transparent, I just had this stand-up. We do a stand-up at Leadercast every Monday morning for 15 minutes, and it's a round robin, a typical stand-up. But what are your priorities? How can you ask for help, right? If you're there that week. We want to make sure we have an open policy that people know how they can help each other to be a healthy team. So this week I talked about that last Friday I went home, and it was a really difficult week last week. And so you ask what's been fun. My gosh, the whole experience. I've been at Leadercast 2 years, started as chief sales officer, and it's a critical time in our transformation. So that's fun because I love to make something better.
Yeah.
Personally, professionally, it ignites me. I love kicking out of bed in the morning, and I do a burpee out of my bed every morning.
Do you really?
Yes, I do.
Because that's just, I try to avoid burpees. we had a collective sigh yesterday when I was working. I was like, all right, burpees. We're like,
it's a reverse burpee, but my feet go out first. And I'm like, okay, take me where I need to go today. That's literally what I say, because my feet hit the ground first, right?
I like it. Okay.
So, but I talked to my team about last week. I felt defeated in a couple areas. And so what's been fun is developing myself, because to truly lead a healthy team, you have to be a healthy leader.
Yeah.
And so it's why I'm committed to physical fitness and spiritual fitness, whatever that might look for each of us as individuals.
Right.
I track what I eat. I watch how much water I drink. And that may sound obsessive, but it also helps my team see that through personal discipline and where I want to go, that's legit. And I think that, so when you talk about the fun, it's bringing a lot of my personal philosophy, but then the fun is working with amazingly talented people.
I love the fact that you were saying you had a difficult week and everything, because we all do. Mm-hmm. But as the CEO of the company, the fact that you have the vulnerability to stand up and go, okay, you know what, last week kind of was tough, and talk about that, then it helps others feel like they can do the same thing.
Yeah, I watched, it was interesting because the woman that kicked off the meeting, and gosh, I'm going to be emotional, but she was talking about that she loves working at an organization where she feels like we have integrity and that we want to be high performers. But she said, I feel like that's all there. And then she said, but I've struggled recently. Like, am I that level? And so when I said, thank you, Cheryl, for talking about that, and I was the last, she kicked it off, and I was the last speaker, and I said, it's amazing where we're supposed to talk and where we're supposed to be. And I said, last Friday, I would have told you, am I really supposed to be in this role? And Saturday morning, when I kicked the burpee out of bed, I knew that I was being told, you're exactly where you need to be. And I posted that today on Instagram, that the tiny nut is where the grand oak, or something like that, where it stands now. And so stand your ground, like stay there.
Love it.
So the fun has been learning to not fight myself.
Okay.
And also to be vulnerable to myself. So when you feel like you may be struggling with something, or that today wasn't a great leadership day, is what can I learn from it? And then how can I get better?
And I think the company lends itself well to that. But you're like that personally, because, I know you personally. So we're both kind of have that gene, just like constantly driving for more.
We do. And that's a great segue for what we're doing here today.
The real reason you're here?
The real reason is because...
let's get to it, folks. You're going to want to listen to this.
This is my challenge to all of you that are watching, not only to attend Leadercast Live or to attend a simulcast around the world, but we had a competition that I did not know I was a part of last year. It wasn't
even a competition.
Yeah.
It was
and Kristin posted her top 10 viewerships of all of her guests.
Last year,
I was not on.
Yeah,
I was not on
Angela
the top 10.
was on last year at one of our first episodes.
Yeah, and I wasn't there.
Yeah, we did at the end of the year, we did a recap, said here's our top 10 most viewed, and posted it. Now, you didn't respond to the post. We were out.
I was ticked. I was ticked.
So we were out, and you're like, that. I mean, we're literally like at an event, and we're standing there talking, and at the end of it, you just look at me and go, I'm coming back on your show because I'm making that top 10 next year. So that's what, I mean, I'm saying, like, that's a true leader. You've got the accountability, the drive, and determination.
Well,
so this is why she's here. I mean, we're definitely promoting Leadercast.
We are promoting
Let's
Leadercast.
Be clear. She's going to need people to view and view again.
That's exactly right. But here's what I want to say. If you look at the collection of 10 people that you hang out with, right, you're only as strong as the weakest person.
Yep.
And so I want to let you know that I hang around women and friends that I would deem iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
So when I tell you I want to be as strong as you, and so I want to represent you as my friend well.
Thank
you.
I
want you to know that was for me. I'm like, gosh darn it, I'm going to be in the top 10 because I want to promote you because you are strong for so many women.
And vice versa. But I think that's what's so cool about not just women, but I think we do a really good job at that is if I'm a big proponent of that. The people you're around, that really dictates how, and we're personal friends too, which is, it's so true because you are. If you've got some weak links, it's tough. But that goes to your personal relationships and your business relationship, whether it's your team and your colleagues or your clients.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, one thing that's really interesting in this day and age, and with working at an event company that we have the platform and we deliver incredible leadership content, people are dying on the vine for people to be authentic. Yep. And, I just read something, and you'll know this coming from the financial world, about that the market would perform even at 17% greater than it is right now if people had trust in the market, right? In the officers that are running those organizations. And so if you look at we're all sort of walking around in hope.
Yep.
Which is what I hear from a Fortune 50 recently that told me the reason they love Leadercast. And I was in awe. A Fortune 50 was like, you bring hope, and you bring hope to me. But most importantly, you give me hope that my leader that I report to will find something to become an even greater leader.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
That's a great testimonial.
But to your point about authenticity and just what people are seeking in this
because we don't see it enough. I know for me personally, both in my business life and my personal life, I tend to gravitate toward, I'm the iron sharpens iron thing, saying for sure, but I tend to gravitate towards people who are authentic, who have no filter, meaning they don't, not that they're cruel, but they don't hold back. My closest relationships and closest friends, personally and professionally, are the ones that tell it like it is. They're not going to sugarcoat things. They're not going to say, I don't do well with having a bunch of yes men or yes women around that are just going to tell me what I want to hear. But you can still have the no filter people and have fun.
I agree with that. I think I agree. My circle of friends is very similar, and I think that I don't want to speak for you, but I think it does apply as well that those people are also people that show up, right? That Fred Rogers that his mother told him, look for the people that are helping.
Yep.
So I think you can be a really great, transparent leader that tells the truth.
Yep.
But when it hits the fan,
you're there.
You're there.
Yeah.
And I had a difficult conversation with someone on my team when I was driving here today, and it was a really great conversation because I said, put yourself in my seat. Would you deal with this? The same way? And he goes, I would. And I said, do you feel like if you were doing this and this is how you were dealing with it, that you would leave a better person? And he said, I would.
Okay.
Then that difficult situation had a great result, right? We had some coaching and learning in there.
Yeah. And I think the more you can do that and be authentic and have conversations with people, the better off you're going to be.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
So we're going to pause for a minute. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Leadercast, but also kind of the takeaways and what having a strong team and a strong tribe mean for you. So we'll be back in just a minute. Hey everyone, it's Kristin. Be sure and visit my website at www.andreegroup.com. That's www.andreegroup.com. And while you're there, be sure to download my white paper, Top 10 Reasons Your Business Isn't Growing Fast Enough. Now get out there and create your no limits moment. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to No Limits with Kristin Andree. We are here with Angela Raub, who is the CEO of Leadercast. And before the break, we were chatting about leading healthy teams, different types of teams. So when you think about teams and we take it beyond work and looking at family, talk to me about, because I know we're both single moms.
Yes, we are.
So talk to me about leading that team, the family and being a mom and, kind of what women both in business and at home
we could have or have had glasses of wine discussing this issue, but there are just some different nuances that I think both you and I, as type A's and people that are competitive.
What? No. Did we mention that Angela is trying to be the top 10 episode?
I want number one. And I have a lot to beat because a 91-year-old will probably beat me out.
We love
She's
B.
amazing.
Slater. She's fantastic.
I understand
fantastic.
that.
Yep.
And I can't beat Casey.
She's top of the list.
All
there.
right. Yeah. But with that I think that the multitasking, obviously, right? I wanted to raise a daughter to be strong, and I wanted her to grow up in a home that was well organized and an operationally efficient home. But I think the greatest thing that being a single parent provides you with is authentic leadership, and it becomes your absolute foundation. I think parenting, right, is your greatest form of marketing because you can't fudge it. Your children walk out,
they will tell on you in a heartbeat.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, my daughter now as a professional female talks about she will have a private PR person just for her mother when she makes it because she can't trust me on social media.
That's funny. But my kids prove, like, if I'm posting anything about them, they have to, my older ones are like, well, let me see it first before you hit. I'm like, you do realize I do social media a lot for my business. And
but still.
It's funny though.
But we're both very authentic. But back to that with our families and that healthy team. Our families are a team, and whatever that looks like. And that's what I think is what I love about Leadercast, is because it's providing content to all people. Yes. And sometimes people
there really is something for everybody.
There is. Yeah. And some people will come to us and say it's too light. And then there are people that want just hearty business content. And I've directed my team. I want to elevate our platform and drive down the middle between inspiration and tactical takeaways, right?
Yep.
But with that said, I hope that a single parent or someone that stays at home comes to an event and feels inspired and they become better, because certainly the world needs it. And if we are not conscientious and motivated to be the best leader we can at home, man, that will be when we can truly make some world change, is when we all really get committed to our home life and leading that team in a helpful way.
Right, because the people we're leading at home are going to be running the companies in another 10 years or 20 years. And I think of that, and sometimes it's exciting and inspiring, and you'll see kids, you're like, oh my gosh, this child is phenomenal, and I can't wait to see him run a company. And then you'll see other children where you're like, oh, we got some development work to do here. I'm speaking my own family. I won't name names. But no, but you don't think about that as a team. I mean, I'd say that to my girls all the time. I'm like, hey, we're a team. We got to all chip in. But you forget about it that as a parent, you're kind of the coach. You're the one in charge of developing the team.
Yeah, you asked earlier, Kristin, about what has been the most fun in my new role at Leadercast. And honestly, it's interesting on communication. It's been on learning how to reposition to a different generation. And when I say reposition, my communication.
Okay.
And so coming at it from a different perspective, because what the baseline of I deem healthy communication and what someone who is younger than I deems healthy communication is where we're really losing traction. And so
where do you see the biggest disconnect? Because I think that, myself and our age, our generation, and the younger kids, millennials, even the Gen I or what's behind them, it's a different style. What are you seeing as the biggest opportunities?
It's interesting. I think the word collaboration, that you and I think of that very differently. I think that's bringing a group of leaders within the organization, whether it's departmental or those that are in that function of the office, to the table to discuss different ideas. But there ultimately has to be one decision maker, right?
Okay.
Whereas I believe that certain generation believe don't I have a vote in that?
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's still okay for us to lead, because if we're all, Rourke Denver, who's been on our stage several times, has talked about that. And being a Navy SEAL they couldn't say, all right, everybody, let's vote.
Yeah.
Right? They had moments of discerning and of assessing the risk and then making the decision. So that's the greatest thing. But I talk about that with the way you reposition communication.
Okay.
I've learned to ask a lot better questions.
Okay.
Because someone's coming at it and their idea and thought of the definition of collaboration is very different than mine.
Well, and it gets back, that makes me think of families too, because I do always try to get input, and you think of that with children.
Yes.
It's like, I want your input.
Yes.
We're still going to do it my way. It's a little more cut and dry with kids, but I do try to collaborate with them because I want to help learn or teach them and encourage them and empower them to make their own decisions.
Yes.
I hope they make good ones.
Yes.
It was our running joke when my oldest would go, out to school. I'm always like, make good choices. That was my kind of catchphrase on her way out the door. And she's made phenomenal choices, but I do feel like I collaborated with her on more things growing up, let her have an input, because she was the oldest. She was kind of my partner, if you will. Growing up in a single mom household, being the oldest, you kind of get a little bit more engagement and collaboration, I think, on some decisions.
That's really true. And my daughter was an only child. And so she probably, her teachers would say she needs to hang around younger people, because she would be like, how was your weekend? And she'd rather sit with the teacher than sit with the kids, right? Because she was like, let's talk about what's the lesson this week or whatever. But, I'm like, wow. But, it's interesting because when you talk about the family and that dynamic, one of my favorite speakers will be on Leadercast stage this year, Carla Harris.
I am You
have to be so excited coming from financial services. I'm so excited about
Carla Harris. It's not even funny. So I heard her years ago because I lived in Connecticut. So I was in, the Connecticut, New York area in the industry. And she's phenomenal. She's so inspirational.
She is. And to be an opera singer, and she's performed at Carnegie Hall, but she runs, I love when she talks about Wall Street, the street. And she's been on the street for a long time. But what I love about Carla is she has Pearls of Wisdom as one of her books. She's recently written another book. I think it's her third. But at a later age, got married and now has a daughter. I think the daughter's maybe 2 or 3. And to hear Carla speak about the difference of having a child how it's made her a better leader, a better negotiator is really, it's very cool. And I think it should make people that are parents really give themselves more credit than I think that we do some days, because I think we're pretty hard on ourselves.
I think we are a lot. And it's, you talk about if Carla's saying being a better negotiator, because there is not, if her child's 2, around that age, 2 or 3, there is not a lot of negotiation.
No.
I mean, you can state your points. They are not hearing any of your points. Right. And they're still going to do whatever they want to do anyway at that age. I mean, God love the toddler stage.
Yeah.
But
don't you think, I think that for those of us that have been parents of younger children, or gosh, we even talked about earlier about when you bring a puppy in, right?
Yeah.
That humbling of your person.
Yeah.
And that's tough. And so I think it's whatever kind of caretaker relationship you end up in, is we all need to be really aware of what that looks like. Because that, again, is we need to be healthy. But again, it starts with us and how we are. And so talking about a puppy earlier is, you know.
So Isaac and Whitney, our fantastic producers, are the proud parents of a new puppy.
Yes.
Which is running Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea is very adorable.
Yes.
And will grow into his cute little ears someday. But Sweet Pea's running the house right now.
It's totally welcome to humility to the new parents.
That's
right.
Way to go, Isaac. Got
it. You're negotiating with someone that will never speak. So you'll be amazing at
And that's
this.
true, because with a pet, I'm not a pet person. I get grief for this from a lot of my pet person friends. But they don't talk back. Like, you don't know. Well, they may. One of my girlfriends, Linda, if you're listening, thinks the pets do talk back. But if when you're talking to them, they're not having a conversation. You're not negotiating and making point counterpoint with a pet. Kind of like a toddler.
It's true. But you know what I love is hearing people talk about their pets, because you learn a lot about the person by their awareness of their pet.
Yeah.
Like when you hear people give, like the commentary on, well, this is what my pet says, like, hello, new door opener, and how are you? And I'll sit and watch people. That's how I learn about people and what's their skill and observation, because it helps a lot.
Well, pets are nonverbal communicators.
Yeah, but to their owner, to hear that. So I listen to people in the break room when I walk in and out talk about their pets.
Oh, that's funny.
And I'll
have to start doing this now.
It's fascinating.
Oh, I haven't even done that.
Yeah, but some of the comments, like now that I'm in my role, I can never laugh at. When you hear people say some of their funny dog, I laugh on the inside, but then go in my office or drive home and like, that was hilarious.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But people say the same thing, about kids. And
it's
about,
true.
Some of the stories.
It's true.
We think that's one interesting thing about leadership is sometimes we're feeling like we have those days where we're doubting ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we have those other days where we're like, I'm a good leader. I did good today. And that's awesome. And I distinctly remember, my daughter has no recollection of this, but I distinctly remember my oldest was a teenager, probably 15, 16, somewhere in there.
And she was
but she was such a good kid. And I remember talking to her one day going, I am so proud of you. I said, I don't know what I've done to raise such a good child, but I want you to know I'm so, so proud of you. Dead serious. She looks me in the eye and goes, Mom, I'm raising myself. And I just, that inflated sense of self I had of like, I'm a good leader, just went ka-shunk. So she's like, yeah, I'm raising myself is what she tells me. I'm like,
that touches my heart, because my daughter said the same thing.
Did she? And I'm like, and she didn't mean it in a derogatory way. She really didn't. But I'm sitting here going, you know what? I actually had I've got to give her the credit. Like, she was making the choices. She was doing that. So, and she didn't mean it. And when I tell that story now, she gets so mad. She's like, I don't even remember saying that. I'm like, oh, it is seared in my heart. I remember distinctly you saying that. But we forget. Like, we forget how much, like, we do so much in the background. So leadership is what we do in the front, but it's also what we do supporting in the background. And I think that has a lot more effect on people than we realize.
I agree with that. I think that's the best lesson from today, Kristin, is we all lead in different capacities, but we're never invisible. Yeah. And so even in silence, we're watched. And I think that we don't weigh our impact on the world and those around us as serious as we probably should.
That's true. It's a good point. So we're going to pause for a minute. Then when we come back, we're going to wrap up our time with Angela and talk about what we can do to be better leaders and lead better teams. We'll be back in just a minute. Hey everyone, check out my podcast, No Limits with Kristin Andree, on Tuesday nights at 7:30. We will tackle the things holding you back and the limits you set on yourself and equip you with some strategies to lead more intentional lives. Podcast launches every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. on facebook.com/Andree Group. That's facebook.com/ANDREE Group. We'll see you there. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to No Limits with Kristin Andree. We are wrapping up our time with Angela Raub of Leadercast. We had a little bit of a laughing break during the break. Break.
It's literally no limits.
It's no limits. We lifted the limits during the break. We're not going to let you in on that. So before we went way off track during our commercial break, we were talking about collaboration.
Yes.
And so, other than collaborating on dinner, wine nights, and all that. So talk to me a little bit more. Go deeper in what you were talking about with collaboration.
I am such an advocate for collaboration, but the example that you and I were talking about during the break was that collaboration means people opining right about a decision and breathing into it, different opinions, because like the world, we should have diverse thinking and we should have diverse thoughts on where we should do things. So I am such an advocate for that. It was the final decision that I was really referring to, and that always has to be a leader. But with that, as you and I were talking about communication, it has to be all in. And what I mean by that is we have to have our teams. To lead a healthy team, they must feel that they are empowered to communicate those thoughts and opinions, right?
Right. Well, because I've been on teams before, and I typically am not the quiet one in a group. I'm shocking. I know.
I'm super shocked by that.
Aren't you, though? Yeah. I'm sure everyone listening is floored. But, it is tough. And I'm usually middle of the road, surprisingly. I'm not the most vocal, and I'm not the quiet one. I know how to, as a leader, counter people that are too vocal. And you need to kind of not kibosh their thoughts, but make sure that they stay in check. But the bigger challenge is the people, like you're saying, that are a little bit more quiet, that I'm sure want to collaborate, but just don't know how to communicate, or not that they don't know how to communicate, they don't speak up.
Right.
It's just out of their comfort zone in a group setting, especially. To contribute.
And what's interesting with that, and I watch that, I observe that in offices. I think that what's hurt us with social media and everybody using technology is it's a form, they deem that the form of communication. So you may not say something at the office, but you may post a quote on Instagram.
Right? What is that?
That is kind of like, and you read it. This happened to me. Someone liked for my office something on LinkedIn, and it was a quote. And I internalized, oh my gosh, was that me today in that particular interaction, right? And so
you start overthinking
you
it
overthink it, but I think that people mistake that they type something on social media and they've actually communicated it, right? You hear all the time, I told you that. Well, no, you didn't tell me that. Well, I thought that, or I tweeted that, and you really didn't communicate, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where we've messed up a bit in the world, that people just don't feel free to actually say it and know that that's a safe environment. So it's become far more safe for people just to put stuff out there.
Yeah. And there's a catch-22, because I feel like a lot of times people will say stuff online, and this is where the meanness comes on the cyberbullying, is people will say stuff online they would never say to someone. I always tell people, my rule of thumb is I will never say anything online or behind your back that I wouldn't say immediately to your face. I mean, that just, I think, is a good rule of thumb.
I agree.
People may not always like what I have to say, and that's okay. But I'm always coming from a place of caring and a place of, seeking understanding when I say things. But so when we get people on our teams that are a little bit more reserved when it comes to collaboration and sharing, more sharing than collaborating, because my guess is they probably would love to collaborate, but it's just more publicly sharing. So how do we help them? How do we as leaders pull that out of them?
I think for a healthy team and to function at the highest performance that you can is you own that as a leader to ensure that, first of all, people feel safe. They feel like they matter, right? And come with that, I think an introverted person or someone that's more shy would feel like, okay, wait a second, I can open up, because I feel trusted. I feel like I matter. And I think that's a responsibility. It is the responsibility of the leader to make that an environment where people can breathe into a process or a change or what's going on. And my team can tell you that that's probably the only time I get genuinely, and not upset where, you know, I'm angry or anything like that, but I want people to know you matter. And we can't really get to where the end result is, to greatness. Good to great doesn't happen with just one person.
Just one person, absolutely.
Right? And so it's everybody being challenged to speak into something. And honestly, over the last year that I've been at Leadercast, there have been some just beautiful surprises from people who are more quiet that have had such impactful things because they've observed for a really long time. And so I think as leaders, we need to make it really clear that they have a trusting environment, because we're leaving a lot of real nuggets of wisdom on the table.
Yeah. All right. So every episode, we like to issue a challenge to the listeners. So what do we want to, we've got our hashtag No Limits Moment group on Facebook.
Yes.
We'll post the videos there. We'll post the challenge. But what do we challenge them this week around collaboration?
I challenge for me, and then am I allowed to do that? It's your show.
You challenge them.
So
you go
sorry.
for
All
it.
right.
No, all you.
All right. I would like to challenge this audience of my great friend Kristin with hashtag No Limits, that you select one relationship, personally or professionally, in the next 3 days to 72 hours to act upon some way that you believe you can improve that relationship through your communication, to bring greater health to that relationship, no matter how small or great that effort may be, but to see how that will have a ripple effect in changing it for the better.
Awesome. I love that. So yeah, we'd love to share your experiences with us too online, because it's really making people feel heard and included. So 3 days. Pick one relationship.
One relationship.
I love it. Love it. Love it. So Angela, Raub, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
To everybody listening, downloading, watching on the live stream, we gotta get these views up.
We will get these views up.
She is. So you're gonna see this face a lot, because she's coming back until we're gonna get the #1 spot. Right?
And join us. We'll move that viewership. Join us at Leadercast Live on Friday, May 10th. For the world's largest one-day leadership event.
Awesome. And if you are there, I will be there.
You will be there.
Yeah, tag me on social media, check me in. Let's connect. Love to see some people there.
I know.
So I will be there all day.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks again for being here. We will see you guys at Leadercast. And until next week, keep pushing through those limits.